Hello and welcome to the 2024 Russell Place of Promise Update Facebook Live. I am Cassandra Webb. I am one of the Russell Place of Promise co-leads, and I'm also the director of the Place of Promise initiative with Cities United.
And I'm Teresa Zawaki. I am the other co-lead for Russell A Place of Promise. Happy to be here tonight.
Good evening. My name is Donnell Marshall. I work as the admin specialist with Russell Place of Promise. I'll pass it to Daphne.
Hello, I'm Daphne Walker, and I'm the Communications Outreach Specialist here at Russell Place of Promise.
If you're tuning in with us live, thank you for joining us. And if you're watching this after 6 p.m. on July 2nd, we appreciate you watching our video and listening in. For some background for those that aren't familiar, Russell Place of Promise, or RPOP for short, is a justice-based initiative focused on generating investments in the people and places that make Louisville, Kentucky's Russell neighborhood so special. RPOP was created in 2018 as an initiative to protect existing Black residents of Russell from displacement, build community leadership and power, and create new and innovative approaches to wealth building and community development. As of July 1, yesterday, 2024, RPOP is officially working as a community nonprofit as it seeks 501c3 status. So our objectives for tonight's virtual session is really around updating you all on our shift from being a 5.5-year incubated project to a standalone 501c3 entity. As we talk about that transition, we'll also cover our journey and our goals for 2024, our overview of internal and external activities for the first 6 months of the year, and plans to build a foundation for our next phase. I'll pass it to Daphne to tell you all how you can engage with us this evening.
Yes, please, throughout the evening while we're talking, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment box or questions that you may have. But now this year, you are also able to shoot us a text message at 855-508-1321, and we can answer that question live during tonight's session.
All right, so a little bit of background. Why is Place of Promise in Russell? So, as many of you all know, that Russell, the neighborhood, was a vibrant and diverse hub of Black-owned businesses that served the neighborhood. It created jobs and contributed to neighborhood resilience, and it was a center of Black home ownership. But due to practices like redlining and urban renewal and other financial practices, it really decimated Russell's residential and business community, destroying opportunities for generational wealth building. Now, since 2017, and since there have been hundreds of millions of dollars of planned and underway investment happening in and around the neighborhood that has the ability to change it. And the concerns back in 2017, 2018 from residents and other community leaders was that amount of large investment over a short period of time possibly displacing those that have long called the Russell neighborhood home. So Russell Place of Promise was launched as a means to really direct that investment, put those decision-making opportunities in the hands of Russell residents and those that love the neighborhood, and also not just put the decision-making in their hands, but also put opportunities for ownership of the community in the hands of residents and business owners. So in incubation, when we launched in 2018 as an initiative, we had 3 main incubating partners. We had Cities United, which is a national organization that does gun violence prevention work across the country. We're going to drop a link in the chat for you all to learn more about Cities United. And their role was really to focus on the promise of people, building out our people side of the house of our work. And then our second incubating partner was was Louisville Metro Government on the promise of place side. And they had a commitment to property for the Russell Place of Promise initiative, and other commitments just to make sure that the project was successful. And then our third incubating partner was the Community Foundation of Louisville. And for the past 5.5 years has been serving as our fiscal sponsor during this incubation period. We'll drop links to those three different entities for you all to learn more about. Now, as we transition into our own standalone organization, we have some status updates for you all. So as of December of 2023, we officially have our Kentucky status as a corporation. We have filed our paperwork for 501c3 status with the IRS as of Friday. And we are now in a waiting period that'll take about 8 to 10 months to get that confirmation. But in the meantime, we are operating as if it is true. And we are operating as a 501c3. We will head into strategic planning with our board in fall of this year in 2024. And our current board of directors sits at 9 members. 7 of which are Russell residents and 1 is a Russell business owner. Our goal is to get to 15 board members by March of next year. So we talk about our work as a promise of people and a promise of place. And the work that we do on the people side informs our decisions that we make on the place side. Our people side of the house really is around the belief that people of Russell are assets to their community and our city. They are whole, creative, and capable of maintaining partnerships that lead to equitable investments and build increased levels of Black wealth and ownership. Russell residents not only hold positions on our team or have held positions on our team, but their opinions and desires and priorities are reflected in all of RPOP's actions as a result of a high degree of community outreach and engagement. And now Russell residents are represented in our decision-making board through our board of directors. Now, our promise to play side is really around place-based investments that are foundational to and reflective of our connection with and accountable to Russell residents. At RPOP, we believe that place-based investments must add more value to the Russell community than they extract and be designed to uplift community voice and choice, as well as ownership. To uphold our commitment to building Black wealth, when we invest, RPOP must fairly balance risk and rewards among all stakeholders, starting with residents, and give options for multiple types of ownership to guard against displacement. So these are a couple of our investment principles. I want to highlight just some key words in this, is that we really see that Russell residents and community in general are creative, capable, and whole, and that they are partners in our work and they deserve new and equitable investments in their communities, and that place-based investments require connection and accountability, and relationships are central and critical and should precede community development work to ensure that those developments are a reflection of community members. So we're going to take you all on a little timeline journey of what the past 5.5 years have been like for us and the community. So back in 2018, Russell Place of Promise launched with those 3 incubating partners that I mentioned. In 2019, we were really getting our footing in regards to community engagement activities. We had our first family festival that was in the summertime down at 18th and Muhammad Ali. We kicked off our breakfast series, and we had a couple other smaller community and family dinners. In 2020 is really when we started to get into the groove of things and started to really get activated in person and virtually. So we did our She Did That movie showing when the pandemic hit and shook up a lot of things for a lot of people. We started to distribute care packages with Ag in the City and Play Cousins Collective. We also did projects with young people in the community to share their experiences about living or working in the Russell neighborhood. We also activated our community conversations around 30th and Madison, and that's a project that you all will learn more about later on. We also held our first Juneteenth celebration in the back of our office at 18th and Muhammad Ali. And we kicked off our virtual engagement activities, including our Russell Futures, or our R4R rather, our Russell for Russell Neighborhood Coalition, and our virtual library. In 2021, we kept things moving and added our second Russell Homecoming Weekend, which was an exciting time for us. We also launched the Keep Going Scholarship in honor of Travis Nasty. And we kicked off our first business accelerator. We continued that virtual programming through things like political conversations and our resident work groups. And we released our first publication, which was our 2018 to 2021 Impact Report. You all are going to get links to these different items that I'm talking about in your Facebook chat, so make sure you check that out. In 2022, we got really active and started to travel quite a bit. We brought Russell residents along with us to places like Boston and Washington, D.C., and Seattle and Tacoma and Baltimore. So we were excited to be able to take our shared learning activities to community and outside of the Louisville community as a whole and take residents to different places with us. We were also able to have a huge win for us when it comes to the 30th and Madison Street property, where we had Metro Council, with the support of community, approve 30th and Madison Street surplus and transfer it to RPOP once it meets our set of milestones. We also were able to do some open houses in the neighborhood with our partner Rebound to celebrate new homes coming to the Russell neighborhood and for sale for Russell residents to move into. And we did our For the People Next Door group art exhibit, where several different community storytellers and artists were able to participate in. As a part of 2023, we were able to release our For the People Next Door book. And one thing I want to make sure I mention is those stories that were told in the book were really tied to Russell residents that were homeowners able to receive home repairs from us. And so that was an exciting project where folks were able to get investments into their home as well as be able to tell their stories. So we'll drop a link to the For the People Next Door book so you all can check that out. We also wrapped up our last resident work group, which was the Russell Futures Learning Lab. And a huge thank you to that group because they helped us select the properties that we wanted to ask the land bank for. And so we were able to submit a letter to the land bank just a couple months ago to say these are the properties and this is resident voice to help us make that selection. And then we also got recognition from the Jack Harlow Foundation as one organization to really support in the Louisville community. And then lastly, 2024. So for the first 6 months of this year, we've had some great things happen. We've had a wrap up of our child care business accelerator. We had a graduation in January. We also wrapped up that home repair program I was telling you all about a little bit earlier. And we received $1 million from Congress to support the pre-development of 30th and Madison, which is a huge win for us. And it took community to make that win happen. And then lastly, we have those 9 board members. And if you all are interested in learning more about the board and maybe even participating on the board, let us know, drop your email in the chat or DM us, and we will reach out with more information. I'm gonna pass it over to Donnea and Teresa to share more about the first 6 months.
All right, y'all. So a big reason why we on here tonight is because we get a lot of people reaching out this year asking, what are y'all doing? Just because things have looked differently for us this year as we're in the process of, establishing ourselves as a standalone entity and all the things that Cassandra just mentioned. So let's get into a little bit more of 2024 and what we've been doing. So programs and events. I think Cassandra mentioned a little bit. We wrapped up the Child Care Accelerator earlier this year, which was a huge accomplishment for us. It was the first of its kind in RPOP's history. So that was pretty cool. We just selected the third cohort of the Keep Going Scholarship. So we're very excited to celebrate those recipients next month. This year, we'll be doing it in partnership with the 15 Degree Scholarship. So that's really cool. And we're really excited about that. We participated in the Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods National Youth Violence Prevention Week. We are Fifth Third Empowering Black Futures cohort members. And we've also taken the initiative this year to take site visits locally. A lot of people know us for, our trips that we've taken alongside residents nationally to other cities. But this year we visited a lot of places that are doing similar work to RPOP. like our property at 30th and Madison Street, but also a couple other different things. We've shown up for community like we usually do, including Elder Serves, Adult Day Center, ribbon cutting, and AMP's block party. And we've also done some other cool things. We hosted a home repair and community cleanup day in partnership with concerted.com. Look them up if you're not familiar. They host volunteer opportunities for you to volunteer and then secure different concert tickets, event tickets to places of interest. And last thing I'll mention, we launched the Pop in Our Space opportunity this year. It's an opportunity for community members to rent our space. It's free of charge, but we do take donations. But yeah, we have several office spaces available. So definitely check out our website to learn more about that. As far as organization and board development this year, so as Cassandra mentioned, we are up to 9 board members. We added 5 new board members this year. And we just had our annual board meeting last month. So that was fun. We hosted it here at the RPOP office. I'll mention this again because we're not going to stop mentioning this, but we are established as a Kentucky nonprofit corporation as of last year. So, you know, this year has been different. We've operated as a nonprofit, which is pretty cool. And we've got that IRS 1023 form submitted. So next year, fingers crossed, we'll officially be a 501c3 organization. We've secured a bunch of professional support, everything from accounting to legal to banking, to support us as an organization and also to support our development of the property at 30th and Madison. We're preparing for strategic planning, and we've also done established some board committees to help us guide all of that work. As far as communications and storytelling, you've probably seen us in a few different articles this year. Some big ones include the Lincoln Institute and Brookings Institute. And we've also done some things locally, including a partnership with Louisville Magazine. We have a survey that's still open right now. If any Russell residents are watching right now and are interested in telling more about the Russell neighborhood, please go to our website to learn more about that survey. And right now we're in the process of developing a culminating storybook, which will basically detail all of RPOP from its launch to this present moment to the future. So stay tuned for more details about that.
All right, let's shift gears. So we have 2 big sets of projects that we've been moving along for the past many years at this point. The first one is a 5-acre site at the intersection of 30th and Madison Street, or Muhammad Ali, depending on which way you prefer to come into the neighborhood. And we've done some things in the last 6 months to move that project along. So we've hosted a site visit with our friends at Perkins and Will, who are helping us with architecture services for that site. We have, again, I'll say it again, we've secured funding with the support and sponsorship of Congressman Morgan McGarvey through the Congressional Community Projects Fund to support pre-development work at 30th and Madison Street. We also, thanks to our friends at the Metro Council, championed by one of our all the Russell representatives, Donna Purvis, Ja'Cory Arthur, and Philip Baker, have received 2 rounds of funding now. The first one I'll talk about right here, and the next one I'll talk about in another slide. So the first bucket is to support pre-development planning and activities at 30th and Madison Street. That was $450,000 that was put into the budget for us. And then we also are just about wrapped up with 2 studies, one looking at the market around 30th and Madison Street to help us plan for what goes in that space. And the second, looking at soil composition and what's under the ground with a geotechnical study. We expect to get those results back in the next 30 days. And then we're also kicking off additional design work and planning in late July and early August. And that'll again be with Perkins and Will helping us out. We've also created a timeline for the first phase of development at that site. It won't be the whole site, but it'll be a part of the site. And the goal for that will be to break ground in late 2025 or early 2026 and open that first phase of development in 2028. So we're really excited about all of that. Our next big project is about our community land trust. And Cassandra already talked about this when she was doing timeline updates, but I'll say again, that our folks with the Russell Futures Learning Lab helped us design a set of criteria and priorities for the selection of what ended up being 92 lots that we have requested that the land bank hold for us to develop over the next 5 years. So we're hoping to hear back from the land bank on that request this month and possibly to appear in front of the land bank in August to make that formal request in person. We've also continued relationship building with the Smoketown Community Land Trust, which is working on creating permanently affordable housing in the Smoketown neighborhood and is roughly on the same trajectory that we are as far as timeline goes. And then I mentioned in the last slide that we had 2 exciting things to talk about as far as the city budget goes. Thanks to advocacy with Russell, A Place of Promise, and support from a loose coalition of other Black-led organizations that were working on advocacy around a more just and equitable distribution of funds from the mayor's budget. The Metro Council, again, championed by our friends in Russell, Donna Purvis, Corey Arthur, and Philip Baker, did appropriate a pretty significant chunk of money for Russell, A Place of Promise in this coming fiscal year. And we are so super grateful for the continued support that we have from those 3 folks, as well as the rest of the 26 members of the Metro Council to support our work. It means a lot to us.
So now we're gonna hop into the second half of our year. It's now July, but so far we have attended Lincoln Institute's convening around remaking local economies. We did host our first 30th and Madison cleanup day a couple of weeks ago, and we will have another one coming August 14th. Um, we were able to host our Russell Developments 101, where we were able to connect residents, community members with organizations around our city that are going to be popping up some new developments in the Russell neighborhood. I'm super thankful to those partners who came out. And then we are gearing up for our 4th annual Our Home Russell Homecoming weekend.
Thanks, Daphne. So a little bit more about our organization and board development plans for the rest of this year. So we talked about that submission of that IRS paperwork for 501c3 determination. We are going to continue to secure professional support and operation services, including strategic planning, which we're looking forward to this fall. We'll be planning out what 2025 to 2030 looks like, which is a crazy year to say, 2030. But we're doing strategic planning around that. Also, we'll be looking into HR and fundraising support. So again, if you know of folks that are professionals in the HR and fundraising world, please let us know. Drop it either in the chat or DM us or email us as well. We will also add 3 additional board members on for a total of 12 this year. Still trying to get to that 15 by March of next year. We'll continue board leadership development, which includes education and training, and then also continue to do strategic planning around those programs, fundraising, and new future co-leads of the organization.
So we also have things going on with 30th and Madison Street and the Community Land Trust. I've already touched on several of these things, but I'll go back over the things that I've missed. So I did talk about finishing our market study, additional design work, and additional site investigation. We've got a lot of research that's left to be done on that site before we can really start building. We have raised some dollars, but we will need to raise some additional dollars to support pre-development. And just so that everybody's clear on what that means, pre-development means all the stuff you've got to do before you put a shovel in the ground to make a development happen. A lot of it is not very exciting, but it's all super important research that is part of understanding the site conditions and what's possible to build on that site as a result. So pre-development. We also are going to be looking for a development partner, someone who can help with advice, someone who can help with planning, someone who can help with cost estimation as we make plans for this first phase. That process is going to kick off with the release of an RFQ, a request for qualifications, later this month. And so we'll be posting on social media about that. Stay tuned for more. We also have established and will continue to build out the real estate committee of our board. And that is chaired by board member Colby Bentley, and we're super thrilled to have him in that role. Stuff that's coming up with the Community Land Trust. I mentioned previously that we need to show up in person at the land bank to make a formal request to hold those 92 lots for us. We also, in July, are kicking off work with a consultant to help us develop a strategy for how we time the investment that we'll be making in the creation of the Community Land Trust and building permanently affordable housing in the neighborhood, with the kickoff of construction for 30th and Madison Street. Because if we can get those two things coordinated correctly, we can limit and maybe even prevent some of the impacts to the neighboring property that might happen with a giant investment at 30th and Madison Street. We also are going to continue identifying sources of funds to support both the CLT and 30th and Madison Street. With the CLT, those funds are going to be focused mostly on this idea of pre-development, there's that word again, and also some of the design that needs to happen for the new houses that are going to get built. And then we're going to keep on building that relationship with the Smoketown Community Land Trust. We're glad that they're along for this ride.
So, what are some ways to support and stay connected? We're always looking to connect with community, and we're always looking for support. So, here's a list for y'all. One of the first ones: share the partnership pledge, read the partnership pledge, sign the partnership pledge. We have not forgotten about the partnership pledge, and we hope that y'all haven't either. And Daphne should be dropping a link in the comment section right now of the partnership pledge. So please continue to promote that. Another way is to attend and volunteer at our events. We have not hosted as many events this year as you might be used to us hosting, but we still are here. We are hosting another community cleanup next month. I believe that's on August 14th. So go ahead and lock that date in and show up and support. You can donate. We're always looking for donations. Our donation page is right on our website, and every little amount matters and will go directly to the work that you heard us talk about tonight. Continue to spread the word about our work. On that note, word of mouth goes far, as we all know. Sign up for some of the opportunities that we have. One of the big ones right now is the office pop-ins. We've had business professionals use the space. We've had business owners. If you need to come and plan a baby shower or a birthday party, or if you need, space as an individual to work, pop in. It's free of charge, although we do accept donations. But please pop in, come join us. We be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are the days that it's available. So come on in with us and work with us, co-work, body doubling, all that good stuff. Share suggestions for the board. Right now, we are at 9 board members, but we will grow our board members. So if any of you have any suggestions for board members or professional services that could support either board development or RPOP's work in general, we are always open to suggestions. Advocate for us to local government, funders, anybody else who comes to mind for you. Again, word of mouth goes far. You can always visit our website. I'll also throw in our social media pages. We're most active on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So visit those pages, stay tuned in with what we got going on. Daphne does a great job at managing those pages. So please tune in, share our stuff, repost our stuff. On that note, share our publications as well. We're also active on YouTube. I don't think a lot of people know that, but we have a lot of content on YouTube, everything from past community conversations to, some content that we've created ourselves. So please tune into our YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube, submit info for our virtual library. And I believe that link should also be getting dropped in the comment section. But yeah, virtual library, we're big on shared learning. So if you have resources that you use that are relevant to our work, or you might know of somebody who does, please submit that stuff. We'd love to review it and share it, on our platform. And last but not least, you can sign up for our text and email updates. So if you're not a social media person, but you always have your phone in your hand, please sign up for those things. Definitely to stay tuned in with what we're doing, and get all those reminders and updates. And I think that's all. And I believe we're gonna open it up for Q&A if there's any questions.
There are
Right.
none at
So,
the moment. Oh,
oh,
I was just saying there are no questions at the moment.
got you. Well, we have some questions that we've heard from other folks, either this year or over the past couple of years, that we're gonna ask each other just to give a little bit of insight to how the team works. So one of the questions that we hear often is, what are we excited about when it comes to this year? This year is such a monumental year for Russell Place of Promise as we go through this transition. What are we most excited about as team members? Anyone want to go first?
I can go first. Um, for me, I would say continuing the board development. So, like, this is my first real experience with the board, and being able to be on like the internal side of it is pretty cool. But specifically, I'll be supporting the governance committee. So I'm just really interested to see how board committee meetings go and to continue to learn more and contributing, where I can. I would also add homecoming. Again, our community engagement has just looked different this year, so I'm excited to see everybody's faces and the joy and the laughter and the sweat because it's gonna be hot outside and all the fun that we're gonna have. I'll pass it to somebody else.
I'll go next. I'm excited about new beginnings. So we've ended our fiscal sponsorship with the Community Foundation, and thank you to the Community Foundation for 5.5 really solid years of support. We literally would not be here without you. We also ended our relationship from a staff perspective with Louisville Metro government, and likewise, we're super appreciative of the support and the commitments that remain in place to continue to support us with land and funding. But I'm awfully excited about building together with our new board and with residents a vision for what Russell Place of Promise will look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And I'm really looking forward to our strategic planning process and where that's going to take us.
Teresa, you're on mute.
That's amazing. We are so technically challenged right now, folks. Okay, so welcome back to the rest of the RPOP team. And instead of jumping into our next question, maybe Cassandra and Daphne can answer the first question, which is, what are you excited about this year?
Okay. So I'll go ahead and answer that question. And I do see some of you all in the chat. I will be responding shortly. But I think I'm most excited for this year. It's always being around the people. So homecoming, I think this year's gonna be really fun because it's our fourth year in a row. We're in the swing of things. I'm interested to see like what something new always comes about each year. So I'm really excited about. all the events that we have coming up and new connections with more residents, because I know y'all gonna invite y'all's peoples.
I agree with what a lot of my team members have said around being excited to be around the people, the folks. That's what I always say. I love to be with the folks. And so looking forward to homecoming celebration. This is our fourth year and seeing something that came out of 2020 in the midst of the pandemic and trying to figure out how to keep people safe and still be in person with one another was a challenge, but we were able to do it. And so to see it grow from 2020 to 2024 is a beautiful thing to see. And so I'm looking forward to seeing all of the residents and the community-based organizations and the businesses and the faith community and all the folks that really make the Russell community so beautiful and so strong coming together for the celebration this fall. I'm also looking forward to our planning for the next 5 years. So as we go through our strategic planning this fall, really being able to build on this foundation that we've already built for the past 6 years and pull some things forward as we take this next step in this next phase, but also give ourselves time and space to reimagine what our work could look like. What are we keeping? What are we allowing to be new that's brought into the work of Russell Place of Promise? So I'm looking forward to having those really thoughtful and intentional conversations with the board and hearing feedback from our community stakeholders that include residents and funders and business owners and other community leaders to inform the decisions that we make together with the board that outline 2025 to 2023 for us. So I know we have one question, I believe, that's dropped in the Facebook chat.
Yes, and that question is from Jerry Lewis Crawley. What is Russell's immediate need?
Well, I don't want to answer that for the whole neighborhood, for the Russell neighborhood. I think, if you have conversations with residents or you have conversations with business owners, they may say different things. But from my perspective, sitting on the Russell A Place of Promise team, I think one of the immediate needs is to make sure that the decisions that are continued to be made about Russell and about the West End period and about where money goes, that we continue to have Russell residents at the table in those conversations and not just be able to listen in, but have a voice and decision-making power, because there are a lot of decisions that are being made. And sometimes those include Russell residents and other times they do not. And so I think as decisions are being made about the neighborhood, the immediate need is as those move forward, that there are strong Russell residents that are at the table that have decision-making power on where investment should go and what decisions should be made about the community. Anyone else on the team want to respond?
I would agree 100% with the answer that you just gave. I think that for investment to be successful in a neighborhood, resident voice has to be in the middle of that conversation and always present in the room. And so I think that's what Russell needs. But again, I would say every resident's going to have a different perspective on that based on their experience.
Feel free to drop any other comments or questions in the chat. We do have a little bit more time left.
Well, so if we don't have questions from the chat, we can ask another one of our own questions. So let's go with this one. So what are you all most proud of or grateful for as we end our fiscal sponsorship slash incubation era?
Um, I would say our efforts towards preserving Russell's history, and kind of like highlighting that history, put it on a pedestal, so to speak. Like for me personally, I have a lot of family ties and family roots to Russell, so it's like it's sentimental for me. Just to be able to one learn that history because a lot of it I didn't know, which I'm sure is the experience for a lot of people in and around Russell, but not only to learn it, but be able to learn it alongside, other like folks, other people who have deep roots to the neighborhood. And then after learning it, the opportunity to celebrate it in the ways that we have. I'm thinking of, the Russell Storytelling Project, the exhibit that we hosted at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage, and like all those residents who, were so willing and vulnerable in telling their stories to us, to be on display in that way, because that work matters to me. So yeah, definitely the historical preservation piece of our work.
What I'm most proud of or grateful for? I will say that I feel grateful to be more connected. Um, to my community members and residents, and it really does bring a sense of like family. I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful like to have all these aunties and uncles and cousins. What it feels like because we see y'all at our events often. So every time we see y'all, it feels like, oh, it's family dinner, oh, it's a family reunion. And so I'm really grateful for that. Um, and I'm just proud of like the work that we've been able to accomplish together, and um just I'm proud of like the consistency on the resident side, and the hunger and the want to make this thing a real thing. So
Yeah, I echo what Donnea and Daphne has said around the relationships that we've had with residents and other community members. I'm really grateful for that, and we would not be here. Um, and 6 years in without the support of those folks. And there's too many to name, so I'm not gonna go through that path, but you all know who you are. And also being able to preserve those stories that we've heard from elders and other community members. So that's been beautiful to see. What I will add to it is I'm also really grateful for the tenacity and the ambition that our team has had alongside with residents that also are seeing the vision and dreaming with us, because this work takes a lot. It's a lot of energy, it's a lot of conversations, it's a lot of relationships and partnerships and back and forth. And so it's no small feat to be able to do all of this work. And it takes resilient folks that are really passionate and driven. And so I'm grateful for the experience to work with a great team of folks that believe in the mission and that are really committed, alongside with residents and community members that have been fighting alongside with us to make sure that Russell Place of Promise is successful.
so I do see another comment in the chat. I mean another question, and I can go ahead and ask it now. The question is there any way to have new developments slash investments in the area put money into a property tax fund to help residents pay their taxes as property values go up? Do as property values go up due to new large developments?
That's an awesome question. And the answer is so complicated. So the short answer is possibly it would depend. So the state tells local governments how they can and cannot deal with taxes. And the state would definitely have to have some sort of hand in something like this. But the more complicated piece of this is that the state has already tried to do something like this. And this is controversial, and we're not going to get into a whole lot of detail or opinions on this, at least when I'm speaking. But the West End Opportunity Partnership has some support that it's supposed to be giving to homeowners who meet certain qualifications, who live in the West End. And that support is in the form of a tax credit that's available to folks to offset the increase in their property tax in their personal residences. This is the first year that has operated. There's been a partnership between the West End Opportunity Partnership and LHOME that's offered interest-free loans to people to let them pay their tax and then get the credit back to pay off the loan. It's been complicated. I think they're still working out the kinks, but that idea is in existence in the world starting this year. It's complicated. People have opinions.
Teresa, thanks for responding to that. And if you all want to learn more about WEOP, we can drop that link in the Facebook chat. And we also encourage you all to look into TIFs. That's what WEOP is a TIF. So it's a tax increment financial district that we're referring to. And cities have implemented TIFs across the country and for various different reasons in various different places. And Louisville has a few different TIFs that currently exist. Teresa, we didn't get to hear from you on that last question when it comes to what are you most grateful for?
Yeah, I will be happy to answer that question. I think there was a follow-up in the Facebook chat about the last question though, and I want to just give a super little quick thing on that. Every year when property taxes are due, there are unfortunately a lot of people who don't pay their property taxes. And so those will show up downtown on a list of delinquent taxes, and then the sheriff's office gets involved in collecting those taxes. For anybody out there who has a delinquent tax bill, it's super important that you get in touch with the sheriff's office like ASAP to set up a payment plan. And this is another place where LHOME may be able to help you, and maybe we can drop a link in the chat to that as well. LHOME can maybe help with a loan to help pay those back taxes off. But the risk in not doing that is that an unpaid property tax can lead to a lien that's placed on your property by the county, Jefferson County, and by the school board and by the state, because those are the three entities that collect the property tax. And those can add up and eventually lead to a foreclosure. And so just a quick, double check, make sure your property taxes are paid. If you're paying a mortgage, you're already escrowing that money. But if you're not and you haven't paid your property tax bill, please do get in touch with the sheriff soon to get that payment plan in place. I believe the list of delinquent property taxes is available on the sheriff's office website. And that's the Jefferson County, Kentucky Sheriff. So aside from that, what I am most grateful for and proud of as we are wrapping up our 5.5-ish years of incubation is the relationships that we've built with residents. And the fact that so many of them have been multi-year, multi-engagement. We see people show up every year to homecoming. We see people show up to participate in our work groups or to come to our programs regularly. And the fact that we've been able to build so many close relationships with so many people over this period of time is really just incredible. Especially considering that we started from scratch in 2018 with a new idea that development and investment in people and places in the Russell neighborhood could happen differently and should be happening differently. And so the fact that we've been able to generate so much support and so much community presence with folks in the neighborhood, I think is really just incredible. And I'm super grateful to residents who keep showing up and keep giving us their time and their attention and their ideas and their vision. Just like our other incubating partners, I feel like everybody who's participated with Russell at Place of Promise over the last 5.5 years as an individual resident is also part of our incubation story. And we really wouldn't be here without you. And you all know who you are.
Right. Any more questions from folks through text or Facebook?
Maybe this is a last call for questions. Anybody else?
We have Miss Elaine has asked, how can I access the list? Not sure what list she's referring to.
I think it's
And
the
Miss Elaine,
delinquent property tax list.
okay, got you. So we'll figure out a way to get you that link, Miss Elaine, and drop that on Facebook.
So I'm actually gonna send that to you guys to drop right now.
Thank you.
Yep. So the list that Daphne's about to post in the chat, it's actually a link, and you'll scroll down and you'll see the words click here in red. And these are just the listings for 2023. The list for 2024 may not be posted yet because taxes were just due not that long ago.
Teresa, are you able to drop that link
Yeah, I'm
in?
actually in the Facebook.
No, in our conversation that we're having right here. It's easier to
Yeah.
drop it. Okay.
That's the link. And that is actually the link to the 2024 listings, which are actually now listed on the Jefferson County Clerk website.
Thank you. And after we wrap up tonight's live, if you all have questions for us or the team, feel free to use that number that we gave out earlier, that 855 number, or you can message us on Facebook or Instagram, or any of our social media pages. You can also email us. This email address is on our Facebook page. It's outreach@russellpromise.com. We try to check that email account pretty regularly. So if you have questions or want to send us any information, like even upcoming community events, you can share those flyers with us through that email address as well. I'm going to pass us to our slides and we can open those slides back up. And we're going to share some upcoming event flyers with you all. And let me know if someone else is supposed to present on this, or if I'm good to move us forward.
I think you keep going.
Okay, cool. All right. So we had mentioned this earlier, but we do have a partnership with Louisville Magazine. This is an opportunity for Russell residents or for those that are connected to the Russell neighborhood. Maybe you were a former Russell resident, or maybe you grew up in the neighborhood, or you went to school, or you played, or you worked in the neighborhood, and you really love the Russell neighborhood and you want to share your story. This is an opportunity to share it with Us in Louisville Magazine. And the survey is open and live. It does have a deadline. It says like a June deadline. Please don't worry about that. It is still open and live for you all to contribute. We would love to hear from you. And your story will be shared through Homecoming Weekend and also through Louisville Magazine. We'll also drop that chat again on Facebook for you all to complete that interview with us. And then our big event that's coming up at the end of September is our fourth annual Our Home Russell Homecoming Weekend. It's going to happen over the course of 3 days from Thursday, September 26th to Saturday, September 28th. We have everything from a community dinner to a storytelling event to two trolley tours happening on Friday and Saturday, a lunch pop up, as well as our block party. And that's our last event of the weekend is our huge block party right here at 18th and Muhammad Ali. So if you're interested in be it a vendor, whether you are a business owner or you want to set up a table at the block party, all that information is coming soon. We'll be releasing that later on this month. If you are interested in supporting the event through being a volunteer, we will be releasing volunteer sign up form soon as well. And if you want to support in any other way, please feel free to reach out to us again through all the ways that I mentioned before, messaging us on social media, emailing us at outreach@russellpromise.com, or texting us at that 855 number. Just let us know how you want to plug in and we'll figure out how we can make that work. A huge thank you to our sponsors this year for the weekend, which include Louisville Independent Business Association, LIBA, the Community Foundation of Louisville, Metro United Way, MSD Louisville, Waterfront Park Development, Brown Foreman, Joshua Community Connectors, Okiki, please make sure if I'm not pronouncing that correct, make sure I'm good, team. And Louisville Urban League and Gore's Barbecue. Thank you all for sponsoring this year's 2024 homecoming. We could not do this event without you all. I think that's it for us this evening. Team, y'all want to share anything else before we close out the live? Okay, if not, thank you all for joining us this evening. If you were plugged in live with us, if you're watching this recording, thank you for spending about 55 minutes with us. We appreciate it and we look forward to seeing you all soon in person. Bye.